When you hear the word Afghanistan, what comes to mind? Most likely, war, conflict, destruction. But what if I told you there is another side of Afghanistan? One that few people ever see. A country of towering mountains, hidden valleys, astonishing natural wealth, and a climate and cultural diversity you probably never imagined. In this video, we'll explore the side of Afghanistan that goes beyond the headlines, diving into its geography, its challenges, and its surprising beauty. Get ready for a journey through one of the most misunderstood and fascinating places on Earth.
Imagine a country where mountains are not just part of the landscape, they define the fate of its people. That's Afghanistan, one of the most mountainous countries in the world. Around 75% of its territory is covered by mountain ranges, dominated by the mighty Hindu Kush, which stretches across much of the central and northeastern regions. These are not just hills. Many peaks rise above 6,000 meters, with the highest point being Noshak, standing at 7,492 meters, the second tallest peak in Central Asia. To put that in perspective, it's taller than any mountain in Europe or Africa. But this stunning geography comes at a cost: limited access, isolated communities, and uneven development. There are villages that remain completely cut off for months during winter due to heavy snowfall. In some areas, people can only reach their destinations on foot or by using pack animals, as modern roads simply don't exist. This rugged terrain also fragments the country's national identity. Different ethnic and cultural groups live separated by valleys and peaks, forming a society that is incredibly diverse, but also historically marked by conflict and a lack of national integration. It's common to find communities that speak different languages, practice unique customs, and live almost like isolated nations within the same country. The geography has also played a major role in Afghanistan's military history. From the time of Alexander the Great to the Islamic empires, and later the British, Soviets, and Americans, all who tried to conquer the land faced a powerful enemy: the land itself. The mountains have long offered shelter for fighters, natural hideouts, and complex escape routes. Another important aspect: the climate in these mountains is extremely harsh. Winters are cold and dry, with temperatures dropping to 25 degrees Celsius, 13 degrees Celsius in some regions. Summers, on the other hand, can be hot and dry in lower valleys. This results in a wide variety of microclimates that affect everything from agriculture to human and animal migration. In short, Afghanistan's terrain is not just a physical feature, it is a central character in the story of the country, influencing its culture, politics, economy, and daily life. To understand Afghanistan, you must first understand its mountains: resilient, imposing, and full of both challenges and beauty. Few countries in the world have borders as peculiar and strategic as Afghanistan. Surrounded by 6 nations: Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, China, and Pakistan, it sits literally at the heart of Asia. This location has made it a historical crossroads, but also a land of ongoing geopolitical tension. One of the most fascinating regions is in the far northeast, the Wakhan Corridor. Imagine a narrow strip of land, about 350 kilometers long, that connects Afghanistan to China, though the connection is almost impassable. On the map, it looks like an outstretched finger. This corridor was created in the 19th century during the so-called Great Game, the rivalry between the British Empire and Tsarist Russia for control over Central Asia. Neither wanted to share a direct border, so Afghanistan became a buffer zone. Today, the Wakhan Corridor is a remote mountainous area inhabited by nomadic communities and virtually untouched by modern infrastructure. The border with China is almost symbolic. There are no roads, and the terrain is so extreme that crossing it is a challenge even for the most experienced explorers. Another important detail is the Durand Line, which separates Afghanistan from Pakistan. Created by the British in 1893, this border cuts entire ethnic groups in half, such as the Pashtuns, Afghanistan's largest ethnic group. To this day, the Afghan government has never officially recognized the Durand Line, and it remains a source of political and social tension between the two countries. Many communities along the border identify more with their ethnic roots than with national boundaries. Afghanistan's borders are also notoriously porous. In many regions, especially in the south and east, it's possible to cross on foot or horseback with little to no border enforcement. This facilitates smuggling, informal migration, and the movement of armed groups, all of which contribute to instability. On the other hand, these same borders once made Afghanistan a vital part of ancient trade routes. It was a key link in the Silk Road, connecting China to the Middle East and Europe. Cities like Herat and Balkh thrived as centers of commerce, culture, and learning, thanks to their strategic location between empires. Today, these borders still play a crucial role, not just in politics, but also in shaping human geography and economic potential. They tell stories of division, connection, influence, and survival. To understand Afghanistan's role in the region, you must first understand the complexity and the strangeness of its borders. When most people think of Afghanistan's climate, they imagine nothing but dry deserts or cold mountains. But the truth is, the country holds an incredible range of climates, as diverse as its geography. This mix of extremes shapes everything from daily life to agriculture and cultural practices. First, it's important to know that Afghanistan is landlocked with no access to the sea. This means it doesn't benefit from the stabilizing effects of oceanic humidity. As a result, the country experiences a severe continental climate with dramatic temperature differences between day and night, and between summer and winter. In the northern and central mountainous regions, such as Badakhshan and Bamiyan, winters are long and harsh. Snow blankets the valleys and peaks for months, and temperatures can easily drop below 20 degrees 4 degrees. By contrast, summers in these high altitudes can be cool and pleasant, rarely exceeding 25 degrees 77 degrees. These alpine climates allow the cultivation of crops like wheat, barley, apricots, and apples, but only during a narrow seasonal window. In the south and west, provinces like Kandahar and Nimruz paint a different picture. These regions are dominated by arid and semi-arid climates, with scorching summers and minimal rainfall. Temperatures frequently soar above 45 degrees 113 degrees. Water becomes a precious resource, and traditional irrigation systems like qanats, underground tunnels that channel mountain water, are essential for survival. Between these two extremes, fertile valleys act as climatic oases. One example is the Panjshir Valley, surrounded by towering mountains, where the mild climate supports agriculture and dense human settlement, even amid an otherwise hostile environment. Another key climate factor is the presence of seasonal winds, like the notorious 120 days of wind in western Afghanistan. A strong, constant summer wind that causes dust storms, erosion, and transportation problems. It can disrupt everyday life and even pose health risks in cities and rural areas alike. This climatic diversity is reflected in local architecture and lifestyle. In colder regions, houses have thick walls, small windows, and rely on wood stoves for heating. In the hot south, homes feature inner courtyards, shaded areas, and tall walls to block sunlight. Even traditional clothing, like loose tunics and turbans, is adapted to regulate body temperature across regions. Rainfall scarcity is another serious issue. Afghanistan heavily depends on melting snow from mountain ranges to feed its rivers and reservoirs. This makes the country highly vulnerable to climate change, which has reduced snowfall and altered rainfall patterns. Severe droughts have devastated crops, displaced rural populations, and deepened poverty. In summary, Afghanistan is not a country with a single climate. It is a land of many climates coexisting, from icy peaks to scorching plains. Understanding this climate diversity is key to grasping the daily struggles and resilience of its people. Afghanistan is one of many countries in the world with no access to the sea. In other words, it is landlocked. This might seem like a minor geographic detail, but in reality, it carries major economic and strategic consequences. Being cut off from the ocean means limited foreign trade, dependency on neighboring countries, and a number of logistical challenges. In today's global economy, maritime transport is king. Coastal nations can import and export goods relatively easily through ports, ships, and ocean routes. But landlocked countries like Afghanistan must rely on the ports of neighboring nations, navigating complex trade agreements, tariffs, political risks, and infrastructure limitations. Afghanistan depends primarily on routes that pass through Pakistan, Iran, and the Central Asian republics. One of the most frequently used ports is Karachi, in Pakistan. But because of the historically unstable relationship between the two countries, trade flow is often interrupted by diplomatic tensions, border closures, or security issues. Adding to the challenge is the country's difficult terrain. With rugged mountains, poor road infrastructure, and ongoing insecurity in many areas, transporting goods from a border to central Afghanistan can take days, or be impossible at times. This increases the cost of imported products, limits access to foreign markets, and hurts Afghanistan's economic competitiveness. Despite these disadvantages, Afghanistan's geography once made it a vital land route between empires. It played a major role in the ancient Silk Road, connecting China with the Middle East and Europe. Cities like Herat, Kandahar, and Balkh became commercial and cultural hubs precisely because of their central position, even without seaports. Today, there are regional efforts to overcome the landlocked barrier. The Lapis Lazuli Corridor, for example, is an ambitious project linking Afghanistan to Europe through Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, ending at Black Sea ports. There's also the Chabahar port in Iran, developed with support from India, which offers an alternative route to global trade without going through Pakistan. However, these projects face financial, political, and logistical obstacles. And it's not just trade that's affected. The lack of direct sea access impacts tourism, food security, and even the cost of fuel and medicine. Almost everything that comes from abroad, from oil to pharmaceuticals, is more expensive and slower to arrive. In summary, being landlocked makes Afghanistan a nation dependent on fragile overland routes, constantly at the mercy of regional politics and security issues. Yet, despite these hardships, the country adapts and endures, turning its geographic challenges into historical resilience and redefining what it means to connect to the world without touching the sea. When people think of natural resources, Afghanistan rarely comes to mind. But what few realize is that beneath its rugged mountains and dry soil lies one of the world's richest untapped mineral reserves. From gold to lithium, including copper, iron, and precious stones, Afghanistan's underground holds enough wealth to potentially transform its economy, if political stability and infrastructure were in place. In 2010, a report by the U.S. Department of Defense drew international attention by stating that Afghanistan could possess over $1 trillion worth of mineral deposits. Experts even referred to the country as the Saudi Arabia of lithium, given the massive potential of this key metal used in batteries for electric vehicles and modern electronics. But lithium is just one part of the picture. Afghanistan also contains vast reserves of copper, iron, cobalt, zinc, nickel, uranium, and even rare earth elements, all essential to high-tech industries. Additionally, there are long-known deposits of gold and gemstones, especially lapis lazuli, which has been mined in northern Afghanistan for over 6,000 years. In fact, ancient Egyptians used this blue stone in royal jewelry and sacred artifacts. The problem? Most of this wealth remains underground and untouched. Harsh terrain, lack of modern infrastructure like roads, railways, and electricity, and decades of war have made exploration and extraction extremely difficult. Many deposits are located in remote mountainous areas, where transporting equipment and maintaining secure operations is nearly impossible. On top of that, control over some of these mines is contested by local groups, militias, or corrupt networks. Instead of fueling national development, many of these resources are exploited informally or illegally, with profits leaving the country or being used to fund armed conflict. Environmental concerns also loom large. Tapping into these resources in a sustainable way would require technology, planning, and environmental regulation, which Afghanistan currently lacks. Poorly managed mining could lead to soil degradation, water contamination, and forced displacement of communities. Despite these challenges, there have been attempts to change this reality. China, for example, has shown interest in mining Afghan copper and lithium. After returning to power in 2021, the Taliban expressed a desire to attract foreign investment in the mining sector to boost the country's economy. But many experts warn, without security, transparency, and respect for human rights, the risks remain high. For now, Afghanistan's natural wealth remains more of a promise than a reality, an opportunity surrounded by geopolitical, social, and environmental dilemmas. Its underground holds not only minerals, but also the hopes and uncertainties of an entire nation's future. Afghanistan is often imagined as a barren, hostile land, but that image is far from the full picture. The country is a true patchwork of cultures, landscapes, and histories, where ancient cities are tucked between mountains and fertile valleys shelter communities with unique traditions. To understand the heart of the nation, you must look at its people and the places they call home. Let's start with the major cities. The capital, Kabul, sits at around 1,800 meters above sea level, making it one of the highest capital cities in the world. It blends the ancient with the modern. Centuries-old bazaars coexist with more contemporary buildings, though many have been damaged by conflict. Surrounded by mountains, Kabul's geography influences its climate, urban sprawl, and even how easily goods and people move through the city. To the west lies Herat, near the border with Iran. Historically, it was one of the most important stops on the Silk Road, known for its dazzling Islamic architecture and rich cultural legacy. Herat was once a center of poetry, art, and science in the Persian world, and its minarets and ancient mosques still stand today as witnesses to that golden era. Further north is Mazar-e Sharif, famous for the Blue Mosque, one of the most sacred Islamic sites in the country. The city is a gateway to Central Asia and holds religious, cultural, and ethnic importance for many groups. But perhaps the most symbolic treasures of Afghanistan are found in its hidden valleys. The Bamiyan Valley, for example, was once home to the giant Buddha statues carved into the cliffs, tragically destroyed by the Taliban in 2001. Still, the valley remains a beautiful and serene place, with a mild climate and fertile land. It is inhabited mostly by the Hazara people, a historically marginalized group with Mongol ancestry and a distinct Shia Muslim identity. Another key valley is Panjshir, renowned for both its natural beauty and its historic resistance. It served as a stronghold against Soviet forces and later the Taliban. Isolated and mountainous, Panjshir is a symbol of Afghan resilience, both geographically and culturally. The people there, mainly of Tajik descent, live from agriculture, livestock, and local trade. In the southeast, close to the Pakistan border, we find cities like Jalalabad, heavily influenced by Pashtun culture. Pashtuns are the largest ethnic group in Afghanistan and dominate the southern and eastern regions. Their tribal structure and traditions play a major role in the country's identity and politics. This ethnic diversity, Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks, Turkmens, Balochs, and others, is deeply tied to the land. Mountains separate groups, rivers connect them, and artificial borders, often drawn during colonial times, have left lasting scars. Many communities speak their own languages, wear distinctive clothing, and follow unique traditions that reflect their close bond with local geography. In short, Afghanistan is more than a place of war and hardship. It is a mosaic of lives, valleys, and cities, all shaped by a powerful and unforgiving terrain. Each valley holds a story. Each city bears a legacy. And every community reminds us that, beyond the headlines, Afghanistan is one of the most complex and captivating places on Earth. Afghanistan is a land shaped by its mountains, carved by its valleys, and defined by its resilience. Its geography is not just a backdrop. It is a living force that influences culture, survival, and history. More than just a conflict zone, Afghanistan is home to hidden treasures, ancient cities, and communities that endure against all odds. If the world looked beyond the news, it might see that Afghanistan is not just pain. It is also strength, beauty, and complexity. If you enjoyed this geographic journey, give the video a like, share it, and subscribe for more stories that show you the world with a new perspective.